Looking to be more productive and jump those hurdles of change and challenge easier? You've come to the right place. Welcome to Thrive in Life with your hosts, Zaheen Nanji.
Hello, and welcome to episode number 53 of the Thrive in Life show. Today, I'm going to do something different. I am going to share with you in a very short video here about 5 ways to fostering emotional strength and resilience. So take this as a mini webinar, if you will, or a mini nugget on how to create emotional strength. So for those of you listening to the podcast, whether it's on iTunes, Google Play, Stitcher, you can also view the slides that I'm going through on my website at zaheennanji.com and go to Thrive in Life show. So it's zaheennanji.com/TIL. That's TIL. All right, so let's get started. Emotional instability will often cause immediate damage to you and those around you. And I don't need to go any more on this because you know that when we are unstable, especially when we're feeling quite emotional, we could say something that we regret later. So what I wanted to do is give you 5 ways to foster emotional resilience. The first one is very common. It's avoid personalizing. Now, I remember about 16 years ago when I first started my job as a public health inspector, one of the things that came on my lap was to work with a couple of people on creating a home study course. And I put so much effort and time in it. And then one day, I found out that there was a meeting going on where they were going through the home study course. And I wasn't informed about it. So I went looking around with where they were meeting, and I found them in the boardroom, and they were talking about the meeting. And I opened the door and I said, "Oh, thank you for inviting me." And I closed the door and left. And my manager was in there too. And I did that, and I regretted it because I personalized it. You know, some of you may be thinking, well, yeah, they should have told you. And some of you may be thinking, well, maybe they were just going through something and they were trying to put the bias out. So if you weren't there, then they would probably go through it properly. And either or could be right. So we make the very common mistake of either being defensive or we get hurt when it's got nothing to do with us. So what I'd like to tell you is instead get curious and ask questions. So maybe if I'd opened that door, I could have gotten curious and said, so you're going through the home study. Is there anything that you need from me? Is there anything that I could do to answer your questions? That's all I had to do. But instead, I personalized it. So I hope you learn from my lesson. Number 2, be in control. You can control your emotions. Now, I'm not saying that you numb them and don't feel them. That's completely the opposite. You have to feel your emotions. You have to become aware of your emotions. But they do not have to control you. You can become aware of them and understand why they're there and then get in control. And the way you do that is the first step is acknowledge that they're there. So if you're feeling fear, if you're feeling anxiety, if you're feeling worry, acknowledge that that's okay. That's part of being a human being. And then the second step is asking yourself, what is the positive intention here? What is the positive intention of this situation? What's the positive spin? However you want to say it. When you do those kinds of things, it will really help you kind of step back before you react, and it'll keep your emotions in check. So for example, if you and your spouse are having a conversation which turns into a little argument, which tends to get out of control because you're both feeling emotional, stop and ask yourself, what is the positive intention of this conversation, of this situation? How can I look at this in a positive way that will stop us from arguing. Okay? Number 3, don't hold your emotions in. And that kind of goes with number 2. You know, a lot of people think that being resilient is about putting up this toughness or this facade that you have to be tough and you can't feel anything and you're emotionless. That's far from the truth. In fact, resilient individuals feel emotions, but they're emotionally stable because they know how to communicate what they're feeling and have a conversation about it rather than letting the emotions get the best of them. So the way to not hold your emotions is to figure out what you want to say and then lay it out, but not aggressively, assertively. There's a difference there. When we become aggressive, then the other side will come on the same way. But when we're calm and assertive and lay out what is going on and why we're feeling that way, and for the other person to just hear us out before they give their point of view, that's the way you want to do it. Okay. Number 4 on how to be a resilient or how to hold your emotions or how to be emotionally resilient is become a positive thinker. Now, negative thinking is simply a habit, okay, that can be reformed. And what I say, reframed, that's my favorite word. And we tend to think negative first. That's just a given sometimes. But I always say this in my speeches that we have to understand that we can retrain our brain to think positive. It's just like any other habit. You know, there are some of you who may have quit smoking, and it was a habit that you had for a few years, and then you learned how to retrain yourself to stop smoking. Similar with drinking, similarly with maybe eating junk food at night. You just stopped because you formed a new habit and you formed a new way of thinking. So the way to become a positive thinker is, first step, catch yourself having a negative thought. So anytime you have a negative thought, the second step is ask yourself, what's a more helpful thought? Simple. Okay. So if I have to say, for example, give a speech to a bigger audience than usually what I'm used to, I would start probably thinking negative and doubting myself and saying, I don't know if I can do it. You know, I've never done this audience before. I'm not sure if it's going to go well. See how I'm thinking negative? So I have to catch myself and say, okay, hold on. What's a more helpful thought? A more helpful thought could be, you know, I can practice more and more so that I feel comfortable with that audience. I can probably interview some of the delegates before I go on stage to see what their challenges are and to get comfortable with who I'm speaking to. Helpful thoughts, right? All right. And number 5, which is very simple, and you hear it all the time, and that is breathe and take a step back. So if you feel sometimes that you're unable to do the other 4 things that I've said because you're feeling emotionally unstable or you're approaching an emotionally unstable state, then do this. Breathe deeply, close your eyes, assess your emotions, and recenter your mind into a positive place. Let me repeat that. Breathe deeply, close your eyes, assess your emotions, and recenter your mind into a positive place. Remember, you always have a choice. Learning to exercise that choice will help you become more emotionally resilient, emotionally strong, and overall you'll have control over what you're feeling. So instead of your emotions controlling you, you will be in control of the situation. And this is why you sometimes look at people, or especially leaders, who are emotionally stable, and you wonder, how do they do that? Because they've been doing these 5 things over and over again, and they've trained their mind to do exactly that. So there you have it. I hope that that you've had some aha moments. If you like these short recordings that I've done for the Thrive in Life show, then I would love to hear from you, because I would love to do more of these and give that information to you. All right, so this is episode number 53. I would love for you to go onto my website and watch the other episodes, which are more interview styles, where I have some guests on, because we always learn from other people's stories. So make sure you do that too. They're a little bit longer, about 20 minutes, but that's not too bad, right? Okay, until next time. Bye now.
Thanks so much for listening to Thrive in Life with your hosts, Zaheen Nanji. For more great content and to stay up to date, visit ZaheenNanji.com. That's ZaheenNanji.com. We'll catch you on the next episode of Thrive in Life.